to Scotland's ReferendumFest. I'm Gavin McDougall from Luath Press. This is the second day of our ReferendumFest events. As you may have seen in the programme, we have allocated 5 minutes each of the events as a soapbox slot, and we invited every MSP, every Scottish MP, every Scottish MEP, and you, the citizens of Scotland. I've seen you're mostly citizens of Scotland. So if anybody feels like having a 5-minute slot during the course of proceedings to have a rant or an informed whatever oration on the future of Scotland, or if you want to just let the poems do the talking, that's fine too. We did have one session yesterday where almost the entire audience took part in a soapbox slot at Jerry Sand's Caledonian Dreaming Quest for Different Scotland, and in the back of it, a crowdsourced menu of 50 possible policy options for a future Scotland. So some of these were randomly read out. No, please switch your phones off or to silent. That would be great. Especially some parties here. In a minute. We are in the Quaker meeting house. We've been asked to discourage any heckling or whatever, but if anybody's got things that they'd like to raise or say, feel free to do so. Now, Tessa Ransford and Alison Healy can't be here today. I've been working, as some of you are aware, over the last few months in putting together Scotia Nova poems for the early days of a new nation, which takes its title from the phrase that Alistair Gray coined from, I think, Dennis Lee, who originally coined the phrase in Canada, and indeed it's carved into the wall of the Scottish Parliament, and it's on the premise that whatever happens on September the 18th, a better Scotland is possible. Some may argue a better Scotland is far more possible with yes, some may argue a better Scotland is far more possible with no, but either way, a better Scotland is possible. So what's going to happen today is we're going to have some music from Stuart McCarty here, who's also in the book, and Tessa's going to introduce the book and some of the poets, and we're going to hear some of the poems, and then, time permitting, there'll be time for discussion, further interaction, and there might be some more music. So over to Stuart. Sure.
This is a very serious work, because it's a very serious time we've come to. It's called Darling Dear. I think we get the point. Oh darling dear, you tell us what you think should come. Oh much you think we'll listen when we can find what you've done. Darling dear, for darling dear, was it no you that wants the banker's pal? When are they city slickers loose, be wrong and you steal, darling dear? Oh, like Dutch regulation, that was your fix or stroke, and your banker buddies prospered, but we all ended up broke, darling dear. Say why for should we listen to sick or busted flush? Just the airs our favour, and simply shut your fuss, darling dear. For darling dear, just sit you do, I go on by your feet. You must surely think that we're enough before we swing a beat, darling dear. For darling dear, within you, you're straight off banker man. As much help as a chocolate soldier for the future of our land.
It's been a great pleasure an exciting thing to be asked to edit this book. And it combines two things I care about immensely, poetry and Scotland's independence. I was lucky to be working with a talented and decisive co-editor, Alistair Finlay, and with my own dear publishers, Luath. Darling dear. The poet contributors were drawn primarily from Luath authors, and they were well balanced in terms of areas, ages, and languages. The poets here today will read their own poem in the book and another of their choice. But I'd like to commend to you the gifted photographer, Michael Knowles, whose photo of the herring gull on the top of the stone eagle at the foot of the statue of Henry Dundas in St Andrews Square is on our cover. And it shows maybe how far we've come in relation to those who rule Scotland for their own benefit. But I'm going to start with a poem that we put in the book by Angus Quaker, who's unfortunately no longer with us alive, about the seagulls of Edinburgh. And I'm going to read Angus Quaker's poem just to start us off. As it starts the book off. The pigeons and gulls have taken over the town. They are nesting here now, the gulls I mean. The pigeons command all pavements with their low brows and determined strut, the boldest you've ever seen. I like pigeons and gulls because they confirm that life never stops changing. The scene has been transformed by the pigeons and gulls quite recently, taking over from the sparrows. Nostalgic persons might talk as if life has been narrowed, but I love the gulls and the pigeons. They express nature at its worst and its damned best, refusing to stop pecking, refusing to die, always prepared to give it another try. And gulls, I mean, flying upward toward the sun. And George here has apparently written a poem in honour of Angus, which he's going to follow on from that, George.
Okay.
And George has also got a poem in the book, so while you're up, would you like to read your
I will do, yes, I will do. I'll do it like within reason.
Tell us who you are if you want. Tell who you are in case they don't know.
Well, my name's George Gunn, and Angus Calder, he's a spirit, I think, that still walks amongst us. In many ways, he was a brilliant man, and he was a friend of mine. And I'll tell you a story of Angus. He's the only man I know that was barred from a pub for life. The blue blazer, we got back in for his week. He was barred for life, so he's dead. He was okay to get back in. So. And that's the sort of man he was. And anyway, this poem is about Angus, and I wrote it in Orkney, and it's not in Scotia Nova, although the thing about Scotia Nova is that it's the spirit of Scottish poetry. It's about what we are. And it's a valuable thing, and now at this particular time, poets in Scotland, poets are important. We kind of forged the constitution, the unwritten constitution of the heart, anyway, I think. And Angus certainly did this, and I wrote this for Angus in Orkney, and I wrote for Gavin, his daughter, for Gavin Calder, and it's in memory of Dr. Angus Calder. And the thing about Angus, I was just going to say, is to illuminate, when Hamish Henderson, another great spirit, when he died, it was my job to take his ashes up to the top of Ben Goulden, and sort of Edinburgh City Council cask in my rucksack. But what Hamish didn't tell me was that Ben Goulden is 3,500 feet high. But Angus came with me all the way in Timothy Neat, and every time I looked down, Angus had a tweed jacket and hush puppies on, and he was smoking all the way up. And every time I looked at Angus, he was turned out looking at the view, smoking a fag. So in my memory, Angus went up Ben Goulden backwards. Smoking, this man's a wizard. Anyway, there we were at the top, and we put Hamish's ashes in this hole that he wanted, that only I knew about, sort of thing. And Timothy unfurled the banner for Gramsci, and immediately we were almost in Dundee. The wind, rock the wind, and the new day's done, and it certainly was rocking up the top of Ben Goulden. But anyway, I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was a great moment, and Angus was there, and his hush puppies, and his tweed jacket, and his fag. In memory of Dr. Angus Calder, forgiven Calder, I remember when we climbed Ben Gulaban to put a great soul to rest, and unfurled a banner there to mark our chief and praise our best, and most loved co-joiner. Gramsci's face high up in Glen Shee, an eagle flew from a crag then to set Hamish Henderson free. At this moment, all I see was known to you. Your taste was simple. You loved everything. In Orkney, the wind is gentle. A grey summer's day is pulling itself from island to island, turning the hodden colour of its pulse to blue. You remember this so I can understand. When the simple war of catastrophe ended, you looked at what was left of the world of who could not stop and who could not kill. 4 black Shetland ponies, unbridled and wild, galloped across a green hill. You never claimed that great peace had been born, or that freedom had been truly defended. You wrote the truth and bore the scorn. The skull-hollow buildings along Europe's coast stare out in disbelief and wonder, and the sea traffic of memory is both aid relief and plunder, and of itself, what else can it be, now that memory approaches and fades, gaining in intensity what it has lost, in the private grief of public cheering crowds. It fades, but still stubbornly remains in the pages of the notebooks that you kept when you believed in something, a thing so beautiful that it went to find itself fading. The Churchill barriers guard nothing anymore. The block ship's rust stains the seal claim scabba's shore. A flock of white birds, like the souls of the dead, fly over the stone memory of the lives lost, and those who grab and those who release the useless victory which is the cost of this present age, which knows no peace, only the power of money and its corruption. There is nothing false in anything you said. You were the true heart's welcoming sun. You saw all this in the brown smoggy mess of the autumnal 1950s, when tired men turned to the light to fashion the future out of the memories, but memories are far too slight, and above them the future will not care. My love, she moves through dearness, 7 red stirks follow her. What's water but the generated soul, suggested Yeats to his young republic. Likewise, we move from fear to the oil field to reassure where the British state sows panic. So will Scotland force or England yield? Who is it that eats time's cherries by Lochmill Bay to watch our culture climb into a hole, to neither champion freedom nor sing of liberty? At Howkins, round Kirk and Orford, where bulk tankers sit and humans sleep, they will burn the flame of the sagas out with no examination very long or deep. Integrity is a cartoon, and art is a pout. The silicon delirium of the age, emptied of fire and topped up with torpor, the blood of nothing on the page. No use to you, Dr. Angus Calder. Your delirium at least was sincere. A skein of geese flying into the sun. However did our country get to here, where the robbing banksters need no gun to fleece the people out of their estate? Where is the social retribution, dear Professor? Where is the love to heal the hate? Who will read the rhythm of the world in the waves, or taste it and hammer it out so Scotland is free of history and compromises and bribes? This northern sea will place our poetry in the ashen mouths of the coming tribes. We will watch it wither, salt dry and die. All the dead poets rise up from their graves, and the sea will hear their cry. I remember when we went to Sandy, an island full of light. The June chorus of the birds put all our anxieties to flight. Angus, it was a chorus of words that no ignorance can stop or start. All that you knew and felt and loved was in that day. for you carried Scotland in your heart. Dr. Angus Calder, away! Right, I'll just read one of the poems in the book and I'll get off. You're glad to know. Well, I've got 3,000 trees on at the Griffin on Bread Street, and it's packed in. You know. So come along 7:15, but I'm not here for that. I'm here for this. This is a poem I wrote for Karen Polward, who is a fantastic singer. And I loved her poem about the architect. Built, you know, Charles, what is his name? I forget his name. Who was it? Built Polski to Charles Wren, yeah. And this is a poem called Wren. First I forget that. So it's been a long day, it's only 2 o'clock. Christopher Wren, that's the boy I was talking about, yeah. But anyway, Karen Polward is a fantastic singer, and she could sing a song and break your heart, I think. Anyway, this is for her, and I think it's about what we're actually going to vote for on September the 18th. You know, it's not an election, it's a referendum, but it allows us to get what we want in the future. So it's important to remember. So Wren for Corinne Polward. This is the poem which a wren will change the world. Read on. If there is nothing after this, then the world will have changed. The headland is still there, the waves still break on the shore, but look, the wren flies in through the back door and shuts it against hunger. See how the front door is open to the poor.
He's recently been runner-up for the Edinburgh Prize and got a nice check. So he's feeling good today, aren't we, Harry? So will you come and read your poem with one other?
It's really glad to be here. I know it's nice. It's a lovely acoustic in here, isn't it? It's good. It's good. So so we're fine. We're fine. I belong to Orkney as well. And this is a poem about a place in Orkney that has taken quite a long time to find its home, and I'm really glad it found its home in this book because it's one about taking the long view. I've spent quite a lot of time on the campaign road for the independence referendum, and spent doing a lot of quite shouty and rabble-rousy and silly and all sorts of poems. And now that it's nearly there, I'm finding myself calming down and I want to kind of look along. So this is a poem about a place called Maze How. It's 5,000 years old. Seems that we've got some folk who know it, which is good. And in Maze How, I'll do the poem in a minute. You need to know. Maze How may have been a tomb. We never found any bones in it. It may have been a tomb, but the important thing about it is that on the winter solstice, the sun, as it's setting, shines down the central passage and illuminates the back wall and moves across the back wall like a knife of light. So, Maze How. Lown in the lair of 5,000 year, we walk the lunted lip o' winter, whiles it sains the runnet flags. We're soothless, Gavin, Lowson, Shaddies, Raxin for some kind of might, and the movement of storms and stains, odd hands and breath, oh, unconcerned, the thief cried sun steals into the rook, the wicht cried moon takes back the lift, with Sue with a burden, banes were never kissed here, nae faith but in time. I started out doing poetry and like very much in a kind of performance and spoken word world, and then just gradually been moving to kind of living in both worlds. And there's always this other tension in the audience where they don't know if they're going to applaud after every poem, or after every set, and there's always like lovely wrestle. It's always fun to see.
Cheers it, alright.
But thank you for that. And I was also asked to pick another one. And I haven't had the pleasure of reading through the whole book yet. But this one leapt out at me. One of the things I'm working on in the run-up, and that I'll get out just I'll get out online just before everything comes to a head, is some Orkney Scots translations of bits of the Tao Te Ching, the 3,000-year-old manual of classical Chinese philosophy. Because again, taking the long view and being a bit calm feels about right to me right now. I'm a bit tired. And this is another long view piece, but much shorter, from Tom Pow. It's so important and so clear that it doesn't have a title. Tom Pow. Before independence, chopping wood, drawing water. After independence, drawing water, chopping wood.
I'm very delighted to be in Scotia, Nova, and also very delighted to be here in the Quaker Meeting House. And I'd like to give thanks to all of the folk who've actually met here over the years, because they've had a profound impact on my life through, for instance, being part of Trident Plowshares and the campaign for Scottish disarmament, and the role of women in the peace movement in Scotland, because it's been ongoing for years and years and years, and echoing Harry's words, the long view. And so women have contributed very much to the seeds of that peace movement, and it would be wonderful to see it flourish with independence. My choice of a poem from the book is by the wonderful writer, actress, director Gerda Stevenson, called Head of a Young Woman, Shetland Museum. And so I've only had a few minutes to read.
I'm from Lintoon, and was a teacher there, Colin. Oh, should I say something about you?
No,
Should I say that?
the poem's enough.
He writes in Scots. He's translated Dostoevsky into Scots. He's quite an extraordinary person. Sings and writes wonderful poems.
I also write English as well. All those poems in Scots, I actually don't write very much in Scots, but I think language is really important. And in a way, this poem, I'm very grateful that this poem is in this book, because actually it's quite an old poem, and it hasn't been published before, so it's fantastic actually that you accepted it and took it, because it's made me think about it again. I wrote it, basically, I'll very quickly say that I first understood what Scots was about, and why it was different from English novels. When I was at university, I encountered the poetry of Robert Henderson at university, and wasn't even on my course. And so this is kind of about it. And I remember this experience again, like later when I was in Aberdeen University. This is a poem which I wrote sort of like a decade after that. And it came to mind. I was actually thinking about a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for about 7 years, and wondering where he was and things like that. Still out of touch actually, and then it occurred to me that kind of, in a sense, one thing that always intrigues me about Henderson, the lesson now, is how little we know about him. It's actually quite ordinary for us not to know about poets of that sort of, I mean, because it's actually unusual that we know as much as we do about Chaucer or about Gavin Douglas, except in Gavin Douglas' case we don't know that we know so much about it. So
it's not, but however, that's sort of this idea of somebody that you feel kind of quite a close connection to through the words on the page, even after all that time, is what this poem's kind of about. And I wrote it in Scots and tried to emulate, imperfectly I have to say, emulate a sort of more classical Scots. Their meters yet are current wha will look. Winter night, as I brocht him unfit, and twa Tesco bags, through the ice, some fair. In mind it clicked, I ken no on what wit, who that friend, near 7 year ne'er by me nor seen nor kenned where that he were, mun live yet, blithe, dree what he would, fair forth, in peace or pain be taken within this year. Aneath yon wind, who mony million folk, and yet frae all the variety fell few blued or bidden way in special, as in yoke in little och theirself we warstle through, tuck partners when we can, for fear pit to, I lippin in ilk ane upon another, to think on it, it's God in a slither. Sin at the college, blade kind, sateless, pair, I looked on unkent authors to win lear. Small heed can they as me, scant be as share, beneath the workings of God's world for weir. The old Scots matters, I was never swear of reading, taking pleasance in their thought. Kaith the lead they trek wi' after rock. And Henryson was I, and frae the first, they in a clicked way, albeit I was dull, and didn't hear the half of what was hursed into his lines for lack of guide, and fall many times I made retour to mull over his few pages, thinking, here is grain, yet telling noch the star and corn there but pain. Full queer it is to think we gaze back, get 4 or 5 or mere 6 on a year, sin that this man and yard drew breath and spak, and wonder ne'er his words ring new all's clear as only lead the day in men's for ear. His tongue, though by, mun bide a wee but doot, gin seeds and sick fail crowned his minds can root. For why, the mair I think with Henderson, though he be but in print, the mair I see as canny, wise and fair, humane a man as e'er had feel and heart for poetry, who were side the time, kent all, full, sair and fee, yet didna I just hod wi' upcasts dour, nor gustless freers skulls, say snip, say sour. And as it come, since I was thinking this, that in all Scotland there's but few tax tent for sale, and sick as day may say nay miss comes to neglect, since noch is modernement, gie leave to me to demonstrate a point. Mark choice Freer's poems and compare until the case the day and see what where. In Crescent, of Pole Arctic, Maxie mentioned, the hail Antarctic photographed for space is on my hall door, framed up for attention, cut for yen Scotsman article, no less, to flag the reader when they find it case who ice sheet Larson be for it to brack, but wheel the Gulf Stream and gie Europe crack. That's some year by, nae doot, but now it's done. We're still here, and the weather nae thing constant, but in inconstancy, though Henderson would fain be first to recognise, but Dant, with all his shures of ale, that he may scant recall to defend himself. And so we us, for all our nuclear chaffers, infamous. Sign I was reading Eliot's Flower Quartets. The opening to the preaching the swallow scarce tax nae less a sglint askance with its cosmic mints at God. As for the hollow men, the stuffed men lent together, although the comparison is nae thing perfect, the fox, the wolf, the cock, all can fit. Yet why am I now thinking in this wise? What their twa tales to me are is past wit. Gin was for the soul, a body can be prized that mortal is, it's no frae thinking on it. The day in the matter can't but phrased it, that t'other tint friends sometime to be kent, for countless other acquaintance till the spent. We carriers in on, as I heretofore saying, I turned in for the street, took the stair, sklimmed up they flicks to war Robert's lane, my stair he dwelling was, look again we care, that we're buckle we'll kent strangers share. Fair tafel, tal the key and lock and four, hoping for listens, in and through the door. Moralitas, if it is such. The secret for the crack sit keys to lead the Scots or och like can you seek the nick is in the soon. To teachers pine heed that tell you other gates, a bairn would ken it. Nae hearn to tak a dictionary for wit, yet mind and seek the soon wit can you can. The soon is all, and all thing follows done. Tessa's asked us all to read another poem, and I've not seen the book yet, but there's one that jumped out to me by John Purcell, which I'd love to do. Scotland's Thistle. It's needs to be short. After that long one, I think it needs to be short.
Tell us who John Purcell is, if you would.
Can you? Well, he writes about Scotland's music, but I'm sure Tessa knows. Yeah. Yours, Scotland's Thistle. Your spiked leaves drawing blood, belligerent beauty, wounding the heart, all to protect a proud purple crown, that its soft thistle down may float in active air on liberating winds, to spread the urgent seed, like a free sovereign people growing.
It's lovely to hear the poems read, but it's really good to read them as well, because there's so much in them. There's so much in that poem of Colin's, it's just incredible. And in all the poems we've heard today. And I like the one about learn your stories from Lorna's, that line from learn your stories. I mean, that's a poem in itself, and a good injunction. Well, it seems to be my turn now to read mine, but I'm going to start by reading one by Willie Herschel. He's another schoolmaster, in fact, and another writer, good writer in Scots, William Herschel. It's just called I. Got my eye badge. Let go the blessed English to their shires, their meadows, downs, dog rows and misty turns, their churches, yews, flat lands and haunted spires. Remember Wordsworth and his love for Burns. Remember English heroes like Tom Paine, their honesty and fairness sorely won, who scorned the yoke of royalty just the same, then mind the ghostly 12th man at mid-on. For ours was I the enemy within. It was not the docile English forged our woe. Our lads or parents, our very kith and kin with dominies and Tories taught us no. A Calvinist heart is prone to forgive. Let it all thaw. Forgive, then love and live.
It's better monks downstairs with their whatever instrument it is.
Sacred plumbing.
I woke up about 2 years ago now, I think, or 18 months ago now, with the phrase, my soul, there is a country in my head, which, of course, comes from a poem of Henry Vaughan's, a spiritual poem of Henry Vaughan's from the 17th century. But I just didn't remember that at the time. I just had my soul, there is a country in my head, and so I wrote this poem, Is There a Country? My soul, there is a country my parents used to know, a country sore and sorry, reaching for a better world. They hummed the coal and cleaned the grate. They queued in shops and trudged the windy street. They hoped, believed, encouraged, were witty, kind and good. My soul, is there a country now which they would recognise? The way we live more comfortably, electronic systems, the way we mix and marry and swap our children around, the way we travel freely and communicate, no waiting for replies, no longing, searching as there used to be, no aching, cars and wars still multiply with cruelty and stupidity as we fail to learn, despite the information revolution, what we need to know for real, what makes the common wheel. local markets, when land is allocated so that all can grow some food, when learning is provided by those with skill and reason, and stories keep us wise. The old are not neglected and the young are not exploited. A world of human kindness. We do know how. We know we must allow. Yeah, the reason I put all that in about yearning was that my parents took 7 years to get together after they first met because of my father being sent to India and my mother's father being crazy after the First World War and various things like that. So they still managed to marry in the end after 7 years. And I just wondered if people did that kind of thing now with their mobile phones and everything.
Lots of the company of Buddhist orders.
As we've got time, I'll read my other poem as well, and then maybe we have some conversation. Is that a good idea? We've got time. Unless we'd all like another poem. What do you think? Some more music. We've got some more music. Okay. And my other poem is called A Tryst. And something came through the web saying, would we write a poem to dearest Scotland? I don't know who did this or where it's gone or what happened, but I thought, well, okay, I'll write a poem to dearest Scotland. So this was my poem to dearest Scotland. I called it A Tryst. I used to walk down the Cannon Gate, empty and dark, after another day at the Poetry Library, whose very existence depended on my work. However exhausted I was, drained and hungry, but I had a tryst to keep with Scottish poetry, and I'd compare myself to my seafaring ancestor who sailed to Australia in a Clyde paddle steamer. If he overcame the dangerous currents and oceans, attacks by pirates and running out of fuel, I could surely sail on with minimum funds when I had a chart, a vision, and a goal, with a volunteer crew of experts, friends, and faithful navigators. Like ancient Celtic adventurers, we set afloat a current of poetry practitioners. Such risk in action brings its accompaniment and gathers its own momentum and impetus. To wait and see or slump in bewilderment will never achieve our destiny, our bliss. To make our own decisions and choose our course will see us voyage ahead on a life of adventure and find our way to what next desirable harbour.
Finish off the music and just do something in between. Is that various moods? Yeah. So these last 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, try to volunteer for.
Could I volunteer?
Absolutely.
Oh well, I have to confess that I've not been all that useful to the cause of persuading others to vote yes. I just can't from the start, yes is the answer, without the question even being finished. And there's a big debate today about whether it's our emotions or our reason that lead us. And I'm glad to say that it's our emotions, follows up with reason. But when folk were asking me, well, I was so sure it was yes, I couldn't argue with them because they kept hitting me with facts and they had to be cautious, you know, because of family and everything. And because we would get from London, they were listening to us now, and Craigie and what's the other two ladies, Miliband and Cameron, would give us all the things we need, on the assumption that it's going to be them that are about to see it. But there's Boris, setting his cap at number 10, and although he's funny and he's a clown, he is not a stupid man. I think he could do it. So here's the song written by me and my sometime neighbour Robert Burns, he was up there too. Da 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 da, Scots were hey, we Wallace bled, hear my story. Use your heart and use your head, vote yes for glory. That's far too high now, is it? Scots were hey, we Wallace bled, hear my story. Use your heart and use your head, vote yes for glory.
part. Mr. McHardy, perhaps?
Okay, I'll do that, please.
Sorry, I thought the book
I'm known for being a shy, quiet kind of person, as you all know. And this is just exactly what I think. The morning after. The morning after there'll be heats like kettles crashing, even like holes in yellow snow, and winds like Arctic storms. There'll be no cries of misery, just the creaking sound to open doors.
Thanks, right. We're going to look for a volunteer now to read out a wee piece in the voice of Walter Scott. I'll just tell you what it is, and then if somebody would like to come forward. Dear Scotland, which is slightly different from Dear Scotland that Tessa was referencing. 2 months ago, the National Theatre of Scotland commissioned 20 playwrights and writers, Liz Lockhead, James Robertson, etc., to pick a person depicted in the National Portrait Gallery and write a Dear Scotland piece in the voice of that person to Scotland on or after the referendum. So there's some wonderful responses, and they were all performed in the National Portrait Gallery by actors in front of the relevant paintings and so on. But because of the nature of the project, it could only be done a very limited number of times in the National Portrait Gallery in the evening and all sorts. It's an absolutely wonderful project, and some of it is actually online. It was filmed and so on. And the piece by Peter Arnott in the voice of Walter Scott. Some of you may have seen the big piece in the Sunday Herald this Sunday about what would Walter Scott have voted, which resulted from Alan Rake and Sandy Moffat did an event at the Book Festival last week, and the question of culture and the referendum and so on was raised, and I think Sandy Moffat asserted or claimed that neither side, particularly sort of Salmond and Darling and so on, just didn't get culture and the arts and so on. And this piece, written sometime before that, I think so perfectly sums that up. So do we have a volunteer?
Peter Arnott's there.
Harry,
I'll
you
happily
do.
do that. I've
You
seen
do.
him do that.
He did actually say he'd come along and do it one of the sessions this week, so he probably will.
I'll
but,
sit there for it. I'll sit there. I started to do this in I was out on the festival tour in Ayrshire. It was very good fun. I don't look like Walter Scott, but hang on here. Dear Scotland, what the hell do you think you're playing at? Have you entirely taken leave of your senses? Does the word Flodden mean nothing to you? Have you forgotten everything your grandfathers told you? I tell you this, I did not go to the considerable trouble and expense of inventing this country just so you people could pass it along. I don't understand. We made a deal, didn't we? We were allowed to stay Scottish, and we got to stick our noses in the trough. Wasn't it pretty good for us? Are you seriously saying that now there's not a British Empire anymore? You canna be bothered. Where is your honour, Scotland? What do you think it was like when we were independent? Didn't you read my books? Didn't you get the subliminal message? Every 10 or 20 years they came up here and knocked 7 bells out of us. It's all very fine remembering Bannockburn, but we didn't send them hameward very bloody often, did we? What do you think the chances of independent Scotland would have been outside the Empire? You think that was an option? You think they'd have stopped at Culloden? Look what they did to Wales! Is that what you want us to be? Pockets of chili, incomprehensible buggers, sending fire to holiday cottages in Perthshire. We ought to stay Scottish, all right? Scottish, very carefully defined. by heritage and shortbread. Not a rival bloody sovereignty on the same bloody island. The price of our remaining Scottish was that Scottishness be harmless. Don't you get that anymore? Scottishness is fine as long as it doesn't piss anybody off. You know what I'm talking about. Read the bloody papers if you can't be bothered with the novels anymore. You think you've got a recession now? You think you've got issues to deal with now? In 1820, at the end of the war against Napoleon, with the country bankrupt, with the empire held together by a thread, when Castlereagh had just massacred the weavers of Manchester, a right sons, a bunch of bastards in Conduit, decided to set Scotland free. Scotland free, or a desert, inside the Union. Without the Union, there is no Scotland. This is not a country. This is a costume. This is a golf bag we carry for tourists. You know it's true. We have to play the game. We are not equals on this island, okay? Our freedom has always been in their gift. We get to be Scotland with permission. It's never been any other way. So we can yearn, all right. We can lament. We can even strike a pose now and then. But we don't cause trouble. Right? Just remind yourself that every time we've got above ourselves, we get gobbed. Right. I'll see you on the banknotes. And if you forget yourselves again, just look up. Anywhere in Scotland, there's always a statue of me staring down at you. Look out for yourselves. Water.
This marvellous book and all the other books by Jerry Hassan and Maria, you can tell them. They're over there. So thank you to Luath, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Now the main launch for Scotia Nova will be on Friday the 29th of August, next Friday at 6:30 in Old St Paul's Church Hall on Market Street, Jeffrey Street, just by the entrance to Waverley, and Alistair, who they will indeed be there to coerce that with Tessa, so hope you can all come along to that, and those poets that are in it can come along and read at it. In a few minutes, or soon, we'll have the finishing music. In the meantime, we've got 5 minutes or so if anybody wants to discuss anything relating to the referendum and the cultural dimension thereof, or indeed anything else at all. The floor is open. Be inspired by
Well, we were
reading
inspired
there.
by this notion of Scott. Having been someone who has slagged off every opportunity I could throughout my adult life, a couple of my students recently have been kind of drawn my attention to one or two things that makes you think that maybe he's actually more representative of Scotland than you think. I don't mean in terms of what we can call the gatekeepers, those that did well at the Union and the Empire and are trying to hang on to privilege, not in that sense, but in the sense of the anti-syzygy. Because for all that he was an arse licker of the first magnitude, soaking up to royalty whenever he could and all the rest of it, he was a man that cared deeply about Scotland. He was a man that was driven by an awareness that he learned awfully young from the people around him in the borders. It wasn't like it was an intellectual thing, it was something that was actually very real in him. And in that sense, I've begun to think he's a wee bit of an easy target. I think that was brilliantly done, Harry. That was absolutely fabulous. Brilliantly written. But I think, and I never thought I would say this, I think I'm getting to the stage, maybe I'm approaching the dotage, but maybe there's more to Walter Scott than you think. But there's a side to him that is positive. You just thought.
In between the lines there, you see that he was actually trying to say the situation was pretty grim as well.
Well, that was driven to the extent by his own politics. And you've got to mind that he was very active. There's a total fabrication fleeing about Edinburgh that he had something to do with the Radical Road on Arthur's Seat. There's no justification for that story whatsoever, but what he was heavily involved with the Fenceville regiments and with the regiments that were formed by the gentry to keep doing the common people. And the radicals, as they proceed, he was very heavily involved in that. And Douglas Young, who sadly died the other year, was working on a book towards the end of his life that he said would show the absolute proof that Luath Scott was the Paymaster General for the government's army of secret spies in Scotland. And I think that's true as well.
I think that's germane to our development as a country. I mean, next year is 200 years since the Battle of Waterloo. You know? And the Battle of Waterloo was far more important to where I come from in the Highlands than the First World War. And the First World War was just slaughter for no reason whatsoever. But the interesting thing is that where I come from in the north, the raised regiment, the Duke Sutherland raised regiment, the 92nd Highland Foot, who fought at the Battle of Waterloo, and they were made up of people who were cleared out of Langill's Bath and Beath and Culloden. And the Battle of Waterloo was essentially the last gasp of the French Empire, or the French Revolution rather. And the fundamental tenet of the French Revolution was that the peasants take land off the aristocrats and give it back to the peasants. So when the third of the regiment that survived the Battle of Waterloo came back to Culloden, their houses were cleared, the whole thing was demolished, the townships were gone, even their graveyards were trashed. And that was what they were fighting for, was it not? My thing is that what they should have done at the Battle of Waterloo was turn the brown-breast muskets around and shot their officers and join the French. Because if they did, there would be no Highland provinces. Because every country east of the Berlin Wall has as their fundamentals of their law the Napoleonic codes written in 1801. And that's why you can't buy or sell 78,000 acres in Denmark or Norway or Sweden and the rest of it, but you can in the Highlands. And that's a fundamental thing that we've got wrong. And Walter Scott was absolutely the agent of all that shite, about why that was good somehow or other. And what we've got is, the thing about Walter Scott is we've got the entire population of Sutherland in Canada. How did that work? How did that work? How could that be good, you know? Rubbish. So I don't buy anything about Walter Scott. I think it was a complete and utter arse, the highest order.
Can I just stick up for a Scottish aristocrat who was alive at the time of Walter Scott, my great hero, David Erskine, first Luath Press, who wrote how important it was not to have an army in a time of peace, supporting Thomas Paine, his brother defending Thomas Paine, and he set up the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland, and Walter Scott disliked him immensely.
What a surprise.
We've got a good few ruling class traders at the moment, who some of them are very, but there's a good number of class traders from the upper classes in Scotland right now. It was always us, and it's quite pleasing to see.
Continuity of tradition is everything.
I think we control the things are closed now, and finish off with our music while Colin and Robin entertain you. And then they operate under the name of Various Moons. They have some CDs with CDs here as well. I think when you came in, you were handed a little questionnaire, a bit of fun, not so much fun, whatever, but there's a ballot box there. We'll be totting up the responses and putting them out into the world at some point in the next day or three. There are choice books for sale here, and if you're not otherwise engaged later this afternoon, or indeed the next 3 afternoons, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, then there's lots more amazing events here. Particularly I referred to Alan Root and Sandy Moffat. They'll be here tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 and tomorrow at 1:45. Maria Fife and others, Women Saying No. Some of you might like to come along and discuss, engage with them on that. Leslie Riddick on Thursday afternoon. Many others anyway. You've got flyers and so on with the details. And Tessa on Sunday. Tessa's doing on Sunday. What are you doing on Sunday?
I'm doing reading with my Palestinian co-author Yati Akli at 19 George Square. It's part of the Just Festival, and we're reading from our book called Rug of 1,000 Colours, which is poems based on the 5 pillars of Islam. He's just been to Palestine for the first time in his life. He came here from Syria in 2000. Now he considers Scotland his home now because his grandfather was a victim from Palestine, and then he came from Syria, and now his home in Syria is gone. So he's written a lovely poem called My New Homeland, which is in this lovely book. So it's worth buying even for that. The Atayakis poems. If you want to hear him, come on Sunday at 2 o'clock at 19 George Square.
Great thanks to Tessa and to all our readers today, and I'll give you various minutes.
Feels like an unfinished song, but I do it just now to try to kind of create, see what